إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربنا زدنا علما اللهم انفعنا بما علمتنا وعلمنا ما ينفعنا وزدنا علما آمين يا رب العالمين. In the name of Allah, the always merciful, the especially merciful, all praise and thanks is for Allah. We praise Him, we seek His help and forgiveness, and we seek refuge in Allah from evil of our spirits and our bad deeds. Whom Allah guides, no one can misguide, and whom He let go astray, then there is no guide for him. I testify that there is no God except Allah without any partners, and I testify that Muhammad is His slave and messenger. Peace and blessings be upon him. After that, I seek refuge in Allah from the accursed devil. O my Lord, open my chest, facilitate my task, untie the knot of my tongue, so they may understand my speech. O our Lord, increase us in knowledge. O Allah, benefit us from that which you teach us, and teach us that which is beneficial for us, and increase us in knowledge. Ameen, O Lord of universes. Okay, alhamdulillah. So last week we completed two stories from Surah Al-Kahf. The last story that we completed was of Iblis, and then there were further lessons after from that story. So the test was of worship. When a person is able to do a lot of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he's a devout worshipper, he attains a status near Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what happens after that? So the pride is the biggest test a believer faces. So that's a trap of devil actually. Once you overcome the difficulty of making the difficult choice on everyday basis, that you decide to obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are willing, you are firm, you're strong, you are constantly obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are able to get rid of all the misguidances, and you are able to get rid of all the disobediences in from your life. What happens? The next test starts, and that is of pride. Because devil couldn't drop you down through your disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now he will bring you on the other pedestal where he will make you proud over your things. So there were two stories we studied. First one was of the test of wealth. When a person has a lot of wealth, what happens? The pride creeps in. A believer becomes unsure of the afterlife because he's so happy, or he have this false hope that maybe because I'm given a lot in this dunya, that's why I will be given a lot in akhirah. I am the chosen one, I am showered with the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and this is a misunderstanding. Blessings of dunya are just the beauty of dunya. They are not a guarantee. If you are living a good life, or a healthy life, or a life full of blessings, it does not give you any guarantee that you will have similar life in afterlife as well. Akhirah is different from the worldly life. It's based on the good deeds that a person sends ahead. And if that was the criteria, then all the prophets would have been extremely wealthy. But that's not true, right? Most of the prophets were poor. Two prophets we are told out of 25 that are mentioned in Quran, that who were the kings. Otherwise, all other prophets were nominal people oppressed by the society, driven away from their towns, or threatened for their lives. And Prophet Muhammad was also facing the similar situation. And the story of worship of the devil, he was a devout worshipper, and then he attained the status near Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then when someone else was prioritized over him, the disease that was hidden inside him in the heart, then that came out. The pride came out. Allah knew all along that he is proud on um, his worship. And this is what happens when a person is able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You start comparing yourself with other people. Oh, they're not. I pray regularly and they do not pray. Oh, I'm able to pray tahajjud. Oh, I recite this much Quran and they don't do it. So the pride creeps in. And that's also a test. A person must humble themselves if they are able to do any of the good deeds. This is the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they are able to do. Now the next test is of the knowledge. Let's begin inshallah. وإذ قال موسى لفتاه لا أبرح حتى أبلغ مجمع البحرين أو أمضي حقبا. And when Musa alayhi salam, said to his young slave, a young boy. So Fatah, we studied plural in the beginning of the surah. Fatah, yeah. The plural was about the Ashab al-Kahf in the beginning. Here it is singular form used fatah. Li and hu are two attachments to the word. Fatah is the actual word. Fatah is a young boy. So Musa alayhi salam was not traveling alone. He was traveling with his with the young boy. Ibrahim is asking a question. Okay, the two prophets who were rich were Sulaiman alayhi salam and also um, his father Dawood alayhi salam. They were the king prophets that are mentioned. And Yusuf alayhi salam, of course, was given authority later on. He later on became, but his whole life is full of tests. Okay, inshallah, let's focus on the today's lesson. So this young boy is traveling with Musa alayhi salam, and um, in the past, when people would take someone as a teacher, they would serve the teacher as well. It was common. It was commonly known and practiced that people would take a teacher and they would serve in small activities to them too. So Musa alayhi salam is not traveling alone. He's traveling with this young boy. Either he is serving him as a servant or he's his student. And it is said that his name is Yusha bin Nun. So he was kind of his student. He was shadowing him and also serving Musa alayhi salam. Why Musa alayhi salam is traveling? There is a detailed hadith that is related to the story as well, that has a lot more detail in the hadith than here, which mentioned in the Quran, and that hadith is mentioned in Sahih Bukhari. So it's a correct narration, authentic narration. So Musa alayhi salam once was addressing, I'm going to give you a pre of the story that is not mentioned here in the Quran before we move on and study the ayats. So Musa alayhi salam once was addressing Bani Israel, and Bani Israel, someone asked him who is the most knowledgeable person on earth. So Musa alayhi salam said that I am. There's no one more knowledgeable than me. And he forgot to mention Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, or that this knowledge is from Allah, or Allah is more knowledgeable than anyone. So he only mentioned that I am the most knowledgeable. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addressed Musa alayhi salam, admonished him that you're not the most knowledgeable on earth. Rather, there is another slave of ours who's more knowledgeable than you. So Musa alayhi salam, it was a very strong prophet. So he said that I want to learn from him. So guide me that I would go and learn from this person who's more knowledgeable than me. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him particular details that we'll go over inshallah throughout the story, and I'll give you share with you parts from the hadith of the story and then parts that are mentioned in the Quran together. So now Musa alayhi salam is traveling because he wants to seek knowledge from this person who is more learned, more knowledgeable than Musa alayhi salam. He is traveling not alone with his young slave or a student. لا أبرح حتى أبلغ مجمع البحرين أو أمضي حقبا. Musa alayhi salam is so determined. He said to this boy, he said, I will never give up until I reach the interjunction of the two seas. So this place, where the two seas meet, this is where this location was given to Musa alayhi salam by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And there was another sign that was mentioned according to find that place where is the junction of the two seas. So because invisibility, he is not able to tell what are the two seas meeting, so was a sign to recognize that this is the junction that he is looking for. أو أمضي حقوبا, or I have traveled for a very long time. So meaning Musa is saying that no matter how far and wide he has to go to learn this knowledge, he is ready to go. And he's strong and he's motivated to do that. And this is how he's mentioning, this is what he's mentioning to this young boy who is traveling with him. فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَجْمَعَ بَيْنِهِمَا نَسِيَ حُوتَهُمَا. Then when they both reached to this junction together, so they're both traveling, they reached that place, but they did not recognize that this is the place they were supposed to reach. نَسِيَ حُوتَهُمَا. The both of them forgot about the fish. So when they were traveling, they were also given, this detail is given in hadith, that Musa Islam was told to take a fish in the basket for as a food for them. So it's not a living fish. They're traveling with the fish which is in the basket, not in a bowl, not in the water. No, it's a dead fish for eating, for food, and it's in the basket. And they're traveling, both traveling with that. Now, when they reach this place, they settled down to rest, and they both forgot about the fish. فاتخذ سبيله في البحر سربا. And this fish, it took its path in the sea in a tunnel form. So there's more detail in the hadith. What kind of tunnel was it? Because it's the sea, and the fish. This in the hadith is mentioned that the fish jumped out of the basket, and then it moved slowly and fell into the sea, and then it took its path in a way that the tunnel was created, like an arch kind of was created with the water, and then the fish went inside the arch. It was like a pathway was created. So if we think about a tunnel in the water, it seems impossible, more of like, mythical thing, a magical thing. We do not, a miraculous thing. We do not think about a tunnel in the water or seeing a tunnel in the water. Although we see animals dig tunnels in the sea, in the sand, and they make burrows, and many animals live in the land, in the land, digging burrows there, and the sand lizards as well, and their sand mouse as well, that live inside the sand to protect themselves from the heat of the sun. So, but in the sea, this is strange that it took its path in a tunnel form in the sea, and that was the sign, that was the miraculous sign for this fish coming to life and creating a path in the sea and moving on. But they both forgot about it. فَلَمَّا جَاوَزَ قَالَ لِفَتَاهُ آتِنَا غَدَاءَنَا. Then when they both passed, meaning in the morning they woke up, it was nighttime and they settled there in this place, and then they started their journey again, they moved on. But when they traveled for some time, Musa alayhi salam said to this young boy who was traveling with him, bring us our food. لَقَدْ لَقِينَا مِنْ سَفَرِنَا هَذَا نَصَبًا. Suddenly, this travel of ours has bring a lot of toil. Meaning, after passing that point where they were supposed to reach, before reaching that point, Musa alayhi salam is full of enthusiasm. He's saying, no matter how long he has to travel, he will travel and he'll do this. And he didn't take any break. But then, when he traveled beyond that point, he felt that exhaustion. So he mentioned that, I'm feeling tired and hungry. Bring us the food so that we can eat and gain energy to move on and continue our journey. قال أرأيت إذ أوينا إلى الصخرة. So Yusha bin Nun now, he remembered because he saw the fish going in the water, but then he forgot to mention. And he's saying, oh, you know what? You see, you know how sometimes we want to hold the conversation and we just say the extra word. So he's saying, أرأيت, you see, when we reached the rock, so there was a big boulder. Sakhra is a big boulder, not small rock. So they were settled near that rock, and this is where they rested. So he's mentioning the reference to that rock, that when we reached that rock, then I completely forgot about the fish, and no one made me forget it except the devil, that I would mention it to you. So he said that he's completely forgot to mention this thing that he saw the fish doing, the action of the fish, to Musa alayhi salam, and he's saying that devil made me forget it. It wasn't that I was going to forget it. And similarly happens to us. There is something extremely important and we know we have to do it, but then when it's the right moment, we forget about it. Our mind goes completely blank and we do not remember nothing about it. And then when the time has passed, then we realize, and then we regret and we feel sad about it. So sometimes it is the trap of the devil that he makes us forget. So it's very important that we write down all the important tasks, put reminders on that we must attend or take care of those matters. The to-do list will help us remember and adopt all means that are possible to make sure that we perform all the tasks, important ones that we're supposed to do, so that we do them. So um, he said that devil made me forget. I would not have otherwise forgotten. It was such an important event that took place, that a dead fish comes to life. Then he was not supposed to. He shouldn't have forgotten it. He should have mentioned it to Musa alayhi salam when Musa alayhi salam woke up. وَاتَّخَذَ سَبِيلَهُ فِي الْبَحْرِ عَجَبًا. And it took its path in the sea in a very surprising way. So he's mentioning that now, the detail how fish took its path in the sea, created a tunnel, and quickly moved in there. قَالَ ذَلِكَ مَا كُنَّا نَبُغِ. So Musa alayhi salam responding, that's what we were looking for. Meaning this was the sign given to Musa alayhi salam. This part is mentioned in the hadith, that Musa alayhi salam was given this sign when the fish comes to life and moves its paths in the sea, creates a tunnel, then that's your sign that you have reached the point where you're supposed to find that man. to learn from. فَارْتَدَّ عَلَىٰ آثَارِهِمَا قَصَصًا. So they both returned on their footsteps following. Qasas is used for stories as well. So qasas is literally means to follow. And story follows one step at a time, one scene after another, right? It builds on one scene over the other scene. Similarly, they followed their footsteps backwards where they came from so that they can reach back to the place they left, where the fish made this strange movement. فوجد عبدا من عبادنا آتيناه رحمة من عندنا وعلمناه من لدنا علما. So they both found a slave. Abd is a slave. Rajul is not mentioned. Man is not mentioned. Human ins is not mentioned. Abd is mentioned. Min ibadina, among our slaves. So because Abd is mentioned, Rasul is not mentioned. So there are various views about who this person was and what his name was. Um, some scholars said that he was an angel. He was performing the task that angel are given. These tasks, and angel come to the earth and they perform those tasks. They take the soul of people. They do certain things and then they go back and report because they have done their work. So probably it was an angel because all creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are abd of Allah. They are slaves of Allah. Abd literally means a slave, subservient to Allah. So all creations are abd of Allah. That's why some scholars said that he was an angel. Other scholars said that he was a messenger because he was given some kind of knowledge, and usually knowledge of ghaib is only given to messengers. Or so then there's the difference of opinion that comes that it isn't particularly only for the messengers the knowledge of ghaib. And then they give reference that mother of Musa was inspired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and she was not a prophet. Maryam alayhi salam was also inspired by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and she spoke to Angel Jibreel alayhi salam, but she was not a prophet either. So it shows that he could be a man. Why would say he could be a man? Because the hadiths mention the word rajul. Now, rajul word is used for a man, a human, a person, a male person. A male human is a rajul. So there is another opinion that this was a man, but he was not a prophet, and his name was Khidr. And that's what we find from this authentic hadith, which is mentioned in Sahih Bukhari, that he was a man, and his name was Khidr, alayhi salam, and he was not a messenger, he was Abd of Allah. Because that's how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduced him in the Quran. Ataynahu rahmatan min indina. We gave him mercy from near us. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him the knowledge of unseen, the special mercy, something that the task that he was performing at the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that was special mercy for him from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, being chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be given this knowledge. And we taught him from near us knowledge, meaning knowledge of unseen that was near Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with him. No one else had it, but he gave this knowledge to Khidr alayhi salam as well. Like messengers are given knowledge, right? And another place in Quran is mentioned that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the knower of the unseen and he does not share his unseen with anyone except he chooses some messengers. And we know the messenger term is anyone who's chosen to perform the task of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It could be an angel, could be a human being. And we particularly in our Sharia use the word Rasul or messenger for a human messenger who is chosen by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide the humanity. And the knowledge the messengers are given is the knowledge of guidance, because they are given knowledge how to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how to attain pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, his approval, and how to enter in paradise eventually in afterlife and live good, obedient life in this world. Hayatun tayyiba. Also, how to protect ourselves from Allah's anger and his punishment, in eternal punishment and the punishment of dunya, how to do that. So that knowledge is given to the prophets, and that is the knowledge of guidance. But this man was given knowledge of a different kind, not the knowledge of guidance. And that also shows that he was not a messenger who was sent towards humanity to guide them. Rather, only Musa alayhi salam was performing that task already. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does give his knowledge of unseen to some people. This is kind of an evidence for us that when Allah chooses someone, he shares the knowledge of ghaib with them. And it's Allah's will who he chooses and honors. And this is the rahmah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whomever he gives it to. قال له موسى Musa alayhi salam said to him, Hal attabi'uka, may I follow you? Ala an tu'allimani mimma ullimta rushda, so that you may teach me from what you have been taught out of the rectitude, the guidance. Rushd is the rectitude, the right guidance. So Musa alayhi salam saying that you have been taught rushd, which I do not have. Do you have that special knowledge? So can I follow you? Meaning, can I tag along with you and learn with you? Like Yusha bin Nun is tagging along with Musa alayhi salam to learn from him. Similarly, Musa alayhi salam is requesting Khidr alayhi salam that can I follow you? Can I go with you wherever you go so that I can learn from your actions about the knowledge that you have and I'm not given that? قال إنك لا تستطيع معي صبرا. He said, Yani Khidr alayhi salam responded back, he said that you will not be capable on being patient with me. So why Khidr alayhi salam would say that? Because his task was very different from the task of a messenger. That's why he said that you will not be able to remain patient along with me or at my actions. وَكَيْفَ تَصْبِرُ عَلَى مَا لَمْ تُحِطْ بِهِ خُبْرًا. And how could you remain patient on what you have no capability to understand? You have no information about it. So a messenger is confident and certain and calling to people to Jannah and warning them of hellfire because he has knowledge, he has information, he's been given this revelation. But because Musa al-Islam at that time would not be given that information which has been given to Khidr al-Islam, and Khidr al-Islam would be acting according to the information that or the instructions that he has been given. So he said that how would you be able to keep up with the task where you will have no information and you will just see me doing things? So he's reluctant in taking Musa alayhi salam as a student or taking him along so that Musa alayhi salam can learn. Now Musa alayhi salam tries to convince him. قال ستجدني إن شاء الله صابرا ولا أعصي لك أمرا. Soon you will find me with the will of Allah, very patient. Sabira. I will remain patient, meaning even if I don't understand, I'm not going to react. That's sabr, right? When you see something you don't like, you do not react on it. That's sabr. And I will not disobey you in any matter. And this is the second thing that a person should do when they're taking someone as a teacher, not disobey them. When teacher gives instructions, they should follow the instructions. And that's how they will benefit. If you follow the instructions, you will benefit. If you don't follow, then you will not be able to benefit from the knowledge of the teacher. And we need to remember that people are given partially the knowledge and not everyone has the same knowledge. That's why there should be no pride and there should be no reluctance in taking knowledge from other people or learning from another person. No matter how much you know, maybe other people will know other things more than you. So that's what should humble us. Only Allah has full knowledge. And the hadith also mentioned a part of the detail when Musa alayhi salam meets Khidr alayhi salam. That Khidr alayhi salam says that you have some knowledge from Allah's knowledge, and I have some knowledge from Allah's knowledge. Your knowledge, what you have, I do not have that, and what I have, you do not have it. So that part was mentioned in the hadith. That Khidr alayhi salam understood, and Musa alayhi salam is definitely, most definitely, learning already as he met Khidr alayhi salam what he was sent to learn by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That knowledge is unique and it's not one particular type. And all knowledge is from Allah. قال فإن اتبعتني فلا تسألني عن شيء. Now Khidr alayhi salam got convinced when Musa alayhi salam said that I will remain extremely patient and will not disobey you at all. So Khidr alayhi salam is giving instructions that if you follow me, do not ask me about anything. حتى أحدث لك منه ذكرى, until I mention that detail, that information to you, with you. Until I mention it myself, I give you the details, don't ask me any questions. Now, this is the condition of moving on with Khidr alayhi salam and learning, that Musa alayhi salam is not supposed to ask questions. A more difficult journey of learning, right? When you're a student, you really have lots of questions in your mind, and then you really want answers for those, and you keep asking your teacher to teach you if you're a good student and if you really want to know. So, asking question is part of learning, and we know that it's not forbidden. But in this situation, Khidr alayhi salam put a condition that if you want to learn from me, then you will not ask me any question, and I not ask me detail of anything until I give you that detail. So they set out. Fantolaka. Fantolaka means to set out, to go on a journey. Hatta إذا ركب في السفينة خرقها. When they both reached a boat, he broke it. So there's more detail before kharaqaha, which is mentioned in the hadith, which is not mentioned in the Quran. So I'll share that with you, that Musa alayhi salam and Hud alayhi salam reached the edge of the sea and they had to cross the sea. They found a boat and the boat gave them ride without any charges as a mercy on them. So they both rowed the ship or the boat. Safina is a smaller boat, smaller ship. Fulk is, however, a big ship. So it was a safina, it was a boat, not a big huge ship. So they were given the ride on the boat to cross the sea. But as they reached there, their bird came, which sat um, around on the boat, and he drank from the water from the boat, and whatever he took in the beak was the knowledge. That's what Khidr Islam referred, that the bird took a little water from the sea to drink. Whatever bird took is the knowledge of you and me, and whatever is the sea is the knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning Allah knows a lot more than what we know, and we are given only a drop from the sea of that. That's why we learn from the Quran many places that even if the seven seas are there as an ink, or mere another seven seas come to replace them, and all the trees on the earth would become pen, and then there are more to support it, multiplied, more another earth would come with the trees. Even then, the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the kalimat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not finish. They will not end. They're infinite words. So knowledge of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not capturable, and knowledge we have is like a drop. So when they rode that ship, Musa alayhi salam didn't realize, but Khidr alayhi salam, he took a plank out of the boat, or he drilled a hole into the boat. Somehow he broke the boat. Now Musa alayhi salam saw, and he became worried that we got a free ride and then this man is breaking the boat. قَالَ خَرَقْتَهَا. And he, out of this astonishment, he said, you broke it. لِتُغْرِقَ أَهْلَهَا. So that its people would drown. لَقَدْ جِئْتَ شَيْئًا إِمْرًا. Certainly you have done something very bad. Such a detestable the thing you have done. I mean, he just commented. He's not asking for anything, but he couldn't remain quiet. He couldn't remain patient because of the action of Khidr alayhi salam of breaking their boat. So Khidr alayhi salam responds back, قَالَ أَلَمْ أَقُلْ إِنَّكَ لَا تَسْتَطِيعَ مَعِيَ صَبْرًا. Didn't I say that that you will not be able to remain patient with me? Meaning you do not have istita'a, is to have the capability to do something. So Khidr alayhi salam saying that you will not even have the capability of being patient with me. I told you at the beginning. Now Musa alayhi salam realizes that he was not supposed to say anything. He says, قَالَ لَا تُؤَاخِذْنِي بِمَا نَسِيتُ. Please do not hold me accountable for what I forgot, because he forgot. He said that I forgot. This is the excuse Musa alayhi salam gave, that I forgot. I was supposed to remain quiet, not comment on anything. Excuse me. Of what Khidr alayhi salam would do. وَلَا تُرْهِقْنِي مِنْ أَمْرِي أُسْرًا. And do not add difficulty into my work, into this difficult task. So he said, do not overburden me with any other difficulty in this matter of mine, meaning don't get angry at me, or don't quit teaching me. It's just because I forgot. He's giving excuse, and he also asking for mercy, that don't make it more difficult than it already is, and please bear with me. فانطلقا حتى إذا لقيا غلاما. So they both set out, meaning they continued the journey after this event took place of the boat, until when they both met a boy. فقتله. So he killed him. So now another strange thing happened. Khidr alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam and Khidr alayhi salam are going, and he saw a boy. The boys are playing, and he took hold of a boy and killed him. He broke his neck. The detail of breaking the neck is in the hadith. And how he broke it, that's also mentioned, how he took hold of the boy and broke his neck. قَالَ أَقَتَلْتَ نَفْسًا زَكِيَّةً بِغَيْرِ نَفْسٍ. So Musa alayhi salam couldn't remain quiet. He said that, how you killed a soul, a pure soul, an innocent person without any soul. بِغَيْرِ نَفْس, meaning there was no qisas. It's not that this person had something wrong or killed somebody, and that's why you killed him. This is an innocent child playing, and you kill him. Zakiyatam, the tafsir also mentions that maybe the boy was so young that he had not hit the puberty yet. And when the kids have not hit puberty, there is no accountability. So they are zakiya. They are pure. So innocent because there is no accountability. In this age, there is no Sharia command, Sharia punishment given to the child, no matter what they have done. Yes, they are, you can teach them other ways, but no Sharia law is applicable on a child who has not hit the puberty yet. So he was so young that he had not even hit the puberty yet. لقد جئت شيئا نكرا. Certainly you have done a very hateful thing. Nakira is nakara yankuru inkar. It's something that you do not even, it is something detestable, something evil, bad. So disliked. So he said that you have done something very disliked. It's that you killed a soul, and he didn't even do anything wrong. قال ألم أقل لك إنك لن تستطيع معي صبرا. He said, um, Khidr al-Islam responded back to Musa al-Islam, didn't I say to you that you will not have the capability to remain patient with me? The same thing he repeated, and the second time as well. Musa al-Islam realizes, he said, قال إن سألتك عن شيء بعدها فلا تصاحبني. If I ask you anything after this, then you should not accompany me. Meaning, he gave Musa al-Islam, gave Khidr al-Islam this last, he asked for this last chance. Actually, he said, okay, you know what, if I make this mistake again the third time, then you don't have to accompany me, because clearly I'm failing in my task. I'm not able to remain patient and keep commenting or keep asking you what I was not supposed to ask. قد بلغت من لدني عذرا. Certainly you have reached regarding me an excuse, meaning you have an excuse that you can quit teaching me. I have failed over and over again. I have failed 2 times. If third time I failed, then you don't have to accompany me. You don't have to take me with you so that I can learn. فانطلقا. So the boat set out. They continued the journey حتى إذا أتيا أهل قرية استطعما أهلها. So the boats, until they both reached the town, and they asked the people of the town to feed them. But the people of the town, they refused. فأبوا. People of the town refused to give them any food. أن يضيفوهما. And they refused that they would give them any kind of hospitality, meaning probably a person is traveling, maybe they were in the need of staying overnight, maybe they needed to rest, maybe they needed to wash off, they needed food because they were traveling. So they requested the people of the town, but the people of the town were so mean, they did not offer them any food, and they did not offer them any kind of guest house where they could stay and rest and rejuvenate their energy and continue their journey later on. فوجد فيها جدارا يريد أن ينقض فأقامه. Then they both found in it a wall, and it was about to break apart. فأقامه. Then he established it, he set it firm and straight again. Musa al-Islam and Khidr al-Islam, they are traveling, they're not given any food in the town, and then while they are exiting, they saw a wall that was breaking apart, and Khidr al-Islam built that wall again with his hands. So he fixed the wall that was about to fall down, and he fixed it, rebuilt it, and at that, Musa al-Islam again commented, قال لو شئت لاتخذت عليه أجرا. If you had wished, you would have taken on it a reward, meaning a wage for fixing the wall. People of the town, they didn't offer us any food. Maybe you should charge them money for fixing their wall. And this was the last comment Musa al-Islam made. Khidr al-Islam responded back, قال هذا فراق بيني وبينك. This is the separation between you and me. Um, So that was because Musa al-Salam said, third time would be the last thing, and he couldn't remain patient. He commented again, سَأُنَبِّئُكَ بِتَأْوِيلِ مَا لَمْ تَسْتَطِعْ عَلَيْهِ صَبْرًا. Soon I will inform you with the interpretation or the meaning of or explanation of what you were incapable of remaining patient with me. So whatever happened, the now three stories that took place, Khidr al-Islam give him the reason, the information that was given to Khidr al-Islam by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Revelation, but was not given to Musa al-Islam. And why Khidr al-Islam was doing those things? He will go one story at a time. First one, أَمَّا السَّفِينَةُ فَكَانَتْ لِمَسَاكِينَ يَعْمَلُونَ فِي الْبَحْرِ. As for the boat, it was for the two needy people who used to work in the sea. Masakin is a plural of miskin. Miskin is a person who is in need, whose basic needs are not fulfilled, but they are different from fuqara. Fuqara or fakir is a person who begs around. He doesn't have his basic needs are not met, but then this person goes door to door and begging people, or goes to person and ask for money. ask for food, ask for clothing, ask for shoes, ask for these items that he needs for the basic need to fulfill his basic needs. But masakin are who are poor, whose basic needs are not fulfilled, but they don't go beg people. They're still in need, but they don't beg people. So these people who had this, who owned this boat, they were very poor, and they used to use that boat and work in the sea. Meaning, either they were using the boat to transport people from one place to another and charge them money, and they were trying to earn their living through it, or they were transporting goods from one place to another, or they were fishing. So some kind of work in the sea they were doing using that boat, and that boat was important for their livelihood. فَأَرَدْتُ أَنْ أَعِيبَهَا. So I intended to make it Aibaha is to make a defect in something. So he said, I intended to make it defective. وَكَانَ وَرَاءَهُمْ مَلِكٌ يَأْخُذُ كُلَّ سَفِينَةٍ غَصْبًا. Because there was a king after them, he was taking away all the ships. Ghasba is to forcefully take away something from someone without right. So he was snatching away people's boats from them, and it's not mentioned in Quran why this king was snatching away the boats, but some tafsir mentioned that because, or some historical accounts mention that the king was at war, so he was just gathering all the ships and he was going to use them in the war. So he was taking away all the boats or ships, whatever he got his hands on. So Khidr al-Islam made that boat defective so the king would not take away, or these people wouldn't even reach that point because of the broken boat and they have to go back and fix the boat. Or even the king, if he finds the boat, then he would see it defective and he would not take the boat. Of course, he doesn't want a defective boat that would drown soon. So their boat is saved by breaking a little part of it that is fixable by the people of the boat, but their whole boat is saved from the king who was snatching away other people's boats. So that was the first reason of why he broke the boat, that he got ride in for free. وَأَمَّا الْغُلَامُ فَكَانَ أَبَوَاهُ مُؤْمِنَيْنِ. And as for the young boy, then both of his parents were believers. فَخَشِينَا أَن يُرْهِقَهُمَا. But we feared that he will burden them both طُغْيَانًا وَكُفْرًا, with rebellion and disbelief. So this boy who was young and innocent, and he was playing around outside at this point, but as he grew up, his parents were believers, but as he grew up, he was going to become rebellious and eventually disbeliever, but he was going to put his parents in difficulty because of that. What happens to the parents when they are good believers and a child is not a believer and he becomes a disbeliever? First he's transgressing and doing all sorts of wrong things, and then he becomes disbeliever. Either it's an emotional distress for parents constantly and a means of humiliation in the society because they are believers and the child is doing all sorts of bad things. Secondly, sometimes parents become overprotective and they start defending their children for their wrong things as well. Even if they're believers, because of their excessive love for their children, they become overprotective and they become unjust towards the society. Just to protect their child, they do not care what is the right thing to do, what is based on justice, and what is not. So he would have caused the difficulty to his parents as the boy grew up. Now, how Khidr al-Islam had this knowledge that this boy was going to grow up into a rebellious and disbelieving man? He was given revelation by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he was given knowledge of ghaib that Musa al-Islam was not given. He has the knowledge of taqdeer clearly. He has the knowledge of future that is giving him information that this thing is going to go wrong, so fix this and save that. So the parents are saved by taking away this child. And not just that, فَأَرَدْنَا أَن يُبْدِلَهُمَا رَبُّهُمَا خَيْرًا مِّنْهُ زَكَاةً وَأَقْرَبَ رَحْمًا. And we intended that we changed for them both Rabbuhuma, their Rabb, yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Lord of these both parents, these two people. Allah would change for this boy in exchange of that a good one, khairan, a better one than him. Zakatan, who is more pure, who is um, actually pure when he even grows up. He will be a righteous person. Wa akrab rahma, and he will be closer in affection as well, meaning he will be respectful towards his parents, he will care for his parents more. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intended to replace this boy who was going to cause distress and difficulty to parents with a child who's going to be better, more righteous, and more affectionate towards the parents, more dutiful towards the parents. And this was Allah's mercy. And this also reminds us that sometimes things go wrong, or someone loses a child, or someone we're put through some extremely difficult task, and we are not able to remain patient because we do not see the positive that Allah knows that is going to happen to us in future because of being put through this difficulty. And this tells us that we are supposed to remain patient. Something wrong happened to us or something difficult happened with us doesn't really mean that it's the end of the world. Rather, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has more knowledge than us, and it is good for us that this thing took place. And yes, of course, we have to frame out all the possibilities that maybe it is a consequence of my wrong actions, and we should fix our wrong actions, and we should analyze ourselves. There is no doubt. But then at all times, we should remain content with the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if it was a consequence of our bad actions, if it happened, it is good for us because it is decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for us. Either this difficulty will protect us from going astray, or it is protecting us from something else that was gonna go bad later on in life. So we're supposed to remain content with the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because He knows and we do not know. And we need to look at the positivity in every difficulty, and we will be able to find it once we accept it. And that's Iman bil qada wal qadr, which is pillar of Iman, that we need to have contentment on the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that yes, this if Allah this happened to me because Allah decreed it, not even a leaf falls without His permission. And if it is happening to me, it is good for me, even if I cannot see any good in there. وَأَمَّا الْجِدَارُ, now he tells about the third story. As for the wall, فَكَانَ لِغُلَامَيْنِ يَتِيمَيْنِ فِي الْمَدِينَةِ, so this wall, it belonged to the two orphan boys in the city. وَكَانَ تَحْتَهُ كَنْزٌ لَهُمَا, and underneath it was the treasure for them both. So there was a treasure buried by their father under that wall, who had passed away, because these are orphan boys. Clearly, parents have passed away. وَكَانَ أَبُوهُمَا صَالِحًا, and the father of them both was righteous, meaning the father of these both orphan boys was righteous. And when a person is righteous, even after his death, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is taking care of the children who he left behind. How? A man from nowhere comes and builds the wall and protects the treasure. Who can do that? Only Allah has the power to do that. That's why reliance should completely be on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَأَرَادَ رَبُّكَ أَن يَبْلُغَ أَشُدَّهُمَا, so your Lord intended that they both reach the maturity, and the age of maturity, physical ability and also the mental maturity. وَيَسْتَخْرِجَ كَنْزَهُمَا رَحْمَةً مِّن رَبِّكَ, and they would extract their treasure with the mercy of their Lord, meaning this will remain preserved for them up until they're strong enough to take care of the treasure. And the people of a town who are so mean, they're not even offering food to anybody, they cannot snatch away that treasure from these orphan boys because they're young and little, they are helpless. وَمَا فَعَلْتُهُ أَنْ أَمْرِي, and then Khidr al-Islam mentions that I do not do any work on my own accord. All that I was doing, it wasn't because I really loved doing it or I wanted to do it. No, I was being commanded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do that, and that's why I did it. ذَلِكَ تَأْوِيلُ مَا لَمْ تَسْتِعْ عَلَيْهِ صَبْرًا, and this is the interpretation of what you were incapable of remaining patient with me, on which you were incapable of remaining patient with me. So the story of Musa alayhi salam finishes with this ayah. And at the end of the hadith, Prophet ﷺ mentioned that may Allah have mercy on Musa alayhi salam. If he was able to remain a little more patient, we would have learned more from Khidr alayhi salam, how things go, how the matters of taqdeer are dealt with. But Musa alayhi salam was not able to remain patient, and he commented, which was a natural human thing to do on such matters where clearly we see a wrong thing happening. And we will learn from it that the matters of taqdeer are extremely complicated. That's why submission to it is the best thing to do. So this was the knowledge of test. No arrogance. Even if you are a chosen prophet, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala admonished His chosen prophet, the Ulul Azm prophet, one of the 5 great prophets, Musa alayhi salam, that you do not have, don't get to say that I am the most knowledgeable man, because it shows pride. without mention of Allah's name, that Allah is all sorts of knowledge is from Allah, and I've been given knowledge. And a person is supposed to remain humble. They're not supposed to take any pride in, I am the most knowledgeable. No, even if you're the most knowledgeable in your field, know that someone else will be more knowledgeable than you. فوق كل ذي علم عليم. There is someone more knowledgeable than the one who is knowledgeable, up until it reaches the level of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who has the knowledge of everything. وَيَسَأَلُونَكَ عَنْ ذِي الْقَرْنَيْنِ, and they ask you about Dhul Qarnayn. So this is another story. Who Jewish people, I previously mentioned in Surah Al-Isra that people, Jewish tribe, they would incite people to ask these questions from Prophet ﷺ, just to puzzle Prophet ﷺ if he has a revelation of such detail or not. So they asked about Ruh, they asked about the Ashabul Kahf, they also asked about Zulkarnain. So they questioned Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam about Zulkarnain. Zulkarnain literally means the possessor. Z means possessor of the two horns. Qarn are horns, and Karnain the two horns. So he was possessor of two horns. It's his title. That's not his name. Zulkarnain is a title, and we don't need to translate it. Yeah, I translated it for the purpose of understanding. Some classical scholars assimilated him to be with Alexander the Great. But when we look at the historical details and all accounts, in that comparison, Alexander the Great was a pagan. He was a polytheist. He was an idol worshipper, according to historical accounts. So he cannot be that. So the modern scholars, Al-Ala Maududi, he mentioned that um, he gave his opinion that Zulkarnain is actually the Cyrus the Great, because Cyrus the Great was the man who liberated Jews from Babylonian oppression, and he freed them when they were enslaved, and he also was a just ruler, which kind of goes. He was a monotheist. He was a just ruler, and his description goes more with Zulkarnain. And Zulkarnain, people of the past, they sometimes would wear two-horn caps. So the warriors would wear the ram horn caps. So that's why he's Zulkarnain, because he wore a cap that had two horns on it. قُلْ سَأَتْلُو عَلَيْكُم مِّنْهُ ذِكْرًا. Soon we will recite to you his mention, meaning Prophet ﷺ is being told that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him this detail story of Zulkarnain, about whom these people are asking Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Inna makanna lahu fil ardi wa atainahu min kulli shay'in sababa. We settled him in the earth and we gave him from everything. Sababa are means or ways, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him either resources or ways to do everything. So all the things he had such power in land, such authority in land, that he given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all kind of resources. Sababa, when you look at the literal word, it's the ways or the means. So either the ways that it means the resources to do it, or ways or pathways to travel. Some scholars have said that pathways to travel is being mentioned, the pathways to travel in the sky. And Allahu Alam, what these sababa were. But Zulkarnain traveled far and wide, from the most east of the earth to the most west of it. He had authority, he had wealth, and he is a believing person. Now we're reaching the last end of the story, but we see that this person who is given authority, Zulkarnain, he has not iman. He's a believer. So the first story was of iman. Then he has wealth. He's given a lot of things, everything at his disposal to work with. And then he has knowledge. He's been will later on come in the story then that he's told about things. And then now he has authority, the last test. When a person passes all the tests, having iman, then wealth and knowledge, and worshipper too. So I missed that one. So he was a worshipper. He's obedient of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, devoutly obedient. And then he has knowledge, and now he has the authority. What he does with the authority? Let's see, what does he do with the authority that he's given? فَأَتْبَعَ سَبَبًا. So he followed the means. So he followed the ways or pathways or means, and he traveled through those means. حتى إذا بلغ مغرب الشمس وجدها تغرب في عين حمية ووجد عندها قوما, until when he reached the setting place of the sun. Maghrib is the ism zarf. So the Ghurub shams is the setting of the sun. So Maghrib is the place where sun sets. So he reached the setting place of the sun, and he found it setting into a muddy spring. So Mahamia, if you remember the process of creation of Adam al Islam that I shared with you, there was turab and teen, and there were different steps, and then there was hamia as well in there. And hamia is when the mud is mixed with the water and then it's left for a long time and it becomes stinky and sticky and black, darkish. So Hamia is a dark, muddy kind of spring where the sun was setting in it. Meaning, when he stood up and saw from the last edge of the earth towards the most west, he saw the sun setting into this very dark, muddy area, muddy spring where the sun was setting in. Wajada in the Hakoma, and he found near it a nation. So there were people in that land already when Zulkarnain traveled there. Kulna ya Zulkarnaini. They said, we said, O Zulkarnain, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked Zulkarnain, Imma an tu'adhiba, either would you punish, wa imma an tattakhidha fihim husna, or you would take them in a good manner, meaning you be good to them. So either you punish them or be good to them. Yani this is the full authority Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to Zulkarnain to do whatever with that nation that he found near the setting place of the sun, the most west of the earth. قَالَ أَمَّا مَنْ ظَلَمَ فَسَوْفَ نُعَذِّبُهُ. So he said, as for whoever is unjust, we will soon punish him. ثُمَّ يُرَدُّ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهِ فَيُعَذِّبُهُ عَذَابًا نُكْرًا. Then he will be returned to his Lord. Then he will be punished. He will punish him, meaning Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish this person who is unjust with a disliked punishment, which of course is the punishment of hellfire, which is nukra, which is the worst kind of, most hated, most evil punishment, is of the hellfire punishment. So if someone is wronging, they're unjust, then the ruler, he's a just ruler, he will punish them for their wrongdoing, and then he's hoping that Allah will punish him too because of his wrongdoing. وَأَمَّا مَنْ آمَنَ وَعَمِلَ صَالِحًا فَلَهُ جَزَاءً الْحُسْنَى. And as for the one who believed and he did righteous deed, then for him is the best recompense. Jaza is recompense. Recompense could be positive, negative, but husna means the best. Husna is a comparative word. It comes from husn, which means good, or ihsan, or all these words stem from the same root. But al-husna meaning the best. There's nothing better than that. So what is this? Al-husna, the best reward is of the paradise, definitely. There's nothing better than paradise. So this person who believed and he did righteous deed, he said that he will get from near Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala best reward, which would be entering paradise. وَسَنَقُولُ لَهُ مِنْ أَمْرِنَا يُسْرًا. And soon we'll say for him a matter that is easy, meaning he will only command them easy things, make ease for them, facilitate them in a way that they can practice their religion and do the increase in the righteous deeds. So he will be good to them in the speech and of course in his attitude towards them. ثُمَّ أَتْبَعَ سَبَبًا. Then he followed the means, meaning he traveled again. Hatta إِذَا بَلَغَ مَطْلِعَ الشَّمْسِ. Either he traveled through the sky, ways of the skies, or ways of the earth. We don't know. Hatta إِذَا بَلَغَ مَطْلِعَ الشَّمْسِ. Until when he reached the rising place of the sun. Matla, again similarly, Maghrib, Matli'a is the place, Tulu is to the sunrise, and Matli'a is the place where sun rises from. So he's reached the most east of the earth. Wajadaha tatlu'u ala qawmin lam naj'al lahum min duniha sitra. He found there in that place where sun was rising from a nation, and this nation did not had any barrier to cover them. They had nothing to cover them from the sun. So sitra is a covering, a shade, something providing shade. So one opinion is that this nation was so poor and so ignorant that they did not even know how to build houses or have tents to cover themselves. Another opinion is that they were so poor that they didn't even have complete clothing to wear. And we even know that some tribes that live in the outskirts, they're living in jungles, they usually do not have much to cover themselves, and they often living under the sky. They don't even build houses or tents. So this nation at that time, when Zulkarnain explored them in the most east place, these people didn't even have proper covering for themselves from the sun, either from the construction or the clothing. Kadhalika, thus likewise. So some tafsir have explained that kadhalika meaning he left them as is. He didn't do anything with them. وَقَدْ أَحَطْنَا بِمَا لَدَيْهِ خُبْرًا, and certainly we encompass from whatever was for him in information, meaning this part of the ayah means that there were more important things for Zulkarnain to do, so he set out to do those things. His focus was those important things. That's why he didn't do anything with the nation and he moved on to work on the important tasks that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him to do, to explore the earth and do other important tasks. Then he traveled, then he followed the means or follows the pathways hatta idha balaga bayna saddaini, until when he reached between the two mountains. So there are two mountain ranges or two big huge mountains. There is a passage there. Wajada min dunihima qawman la yakaduna yafqahuna qawla, and he found there in that place, between the two mountains, a nation. They were not fully able to understand his speech, meaning their language was so different that they were not even close. Yakadu is something closer. So they were not even close to understanding his speech, the speech of Zulkarnain, who could be the great Cyrus. So Zulkarnain's speech was not fully understood by this nation, meaning this nation was speaking a completely different language, but it was some kind of mountain pass where Zulkarnain traveled to. قالوا يا ذا القرنين, they said, O Zulkarnain, إن يأجوج ومأجوج مفسدون في الأرض, indeed Ya'juj and Ma'juj, Gog and Magog is the English a way of saying Yajuj and Majuj, and these are two nations that were living in that place and they were causing corruption in the earth. So they are the corruptors of the earth. Now this nation is actually complaining about the attacks of Gog and Magog, who were attacking them and they were destroying their property. They were eating away their food. They were taking away their animals. So these people are complaining about the arrival and attacks of Yajuj and Majuj, who are Gog and Magog, two separate nations. Gog is one nation and Magog is the other nation. فَهَلْ نَجْعَلُ لَكَ خَرْجًا, so they said, should we gather up some money, some wage for you? عَلَى أَن تَجْعَلَ بَيْنَنَا وَبَيْنَهُمْ سَدًّا, so that you can build between us and between them a barrier. Sadda is something to stop. So they're asking to be built a barrier between them and these two nations, that so that they are saved from their attacks. قَالَ مَا مَكَّنِّي فِيهِ رَبِّي خَيْرٌ, he said, whatever my Rabb settled me in is better, meaning I have been given so many resources, so much wealth, I don't need anything from you. So whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given me is good for me. It's best what I have. فَأَعِينُونِي, but you should support me بِقُوَّةٍ, with strength, meaning you should be physically there and do the work with me to perform this task that you want me to do. أَجْعَلْ بَيْنَكُمْ وَبَيْنَهُمْ sadda, so that I make between you and between them a dam. Radma is a dam, and you can imagine how big, huge walls are built for dams. So this is the kind of wall he's about to build. So he said, I'm going to build a dam between these two mountains, but this dam is being built to stop the attacks of these two nations, not the water. Now he gives instructions, Atuni Zubur al Hadid, bring to me the sheets of the iron. We just have actually two more ayahs or three, one from the next page, and then we'll inshallah conclude this story. So probably 2 more minutes I'll take, inshallah, or maybe a little bit more. Bring me the sheets of the iron, حتى إذا ساوى بين الصدفين قال انفخوه, until when they were leveled between the two edges of the mountain. Sadafain are the edges of the two mountains. So they were layering the sheets of the iron in a way that they completely covered and created a wall between those two mountains, through which the nations of Gog and Magog were coming and attacking these people. قال انفخوه, once the wall was built all the way to the top between two mountains, he said, blow on it, meaning blow hot fire on it, so that the iron would heat up and join with each other. Hatta إِذَا جَعَلَهُ نَارًا, until when it turned into fire, meaning the whole iron sheets were turned all red, they turned into fire. قال, he said, Atuni أفرغ عليه كترا, bring me the molten copper. Kitra is molten copper. So bring me the copper, I will pour it over it. So now there are sheets of iron that have created the wall, and melted copper, when it's poured over those sheets, it will create a strong hold of iron and copper together. Also, the surface of the wall will be so slippery no one can climb over it. فَمَا اسْطَاعُوا أَن يَظْهَرُوهُ. So they are not capable to climb over it. So that's the reason he's pouring copper over it. وَمَا اسْتَطَاعُوا لَهُ نَقْبًا. And they will not be capable of digging a hole or a tunnel through it. Naqba is to break through something. So because of the iron being hot and joined together, it's a wall of iron, and the copper is over it to make it slippery and keep it together, to stop from the wear and tear. So he builds this strong barrier, and then after building, he says, قَالَ هَذَا رَحْمَةٌ مِّن رَبِّي. He says, this is the mercy of my Rabb, my Lord. What we learned? We learned that when we are done doing something, a great achievement, we put in a lot of effort and we were able to do it. We don't say, oh, this is my achievement, oh, because I worked so hard and I'm so good and I'm so skillful and not so wise and knowledgeable. No, it is Allah's mercy that you were given all this information, all these instructions throughout your life, that you were able to do it. All the wisdom that you have is mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on you. So when he finished doing such a huge task, he said, it is mercy of my Rabb. Humble. Having authority requires justice, and remaining humble to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you are able to do anything only with the help and support of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَإِذَا جَاءَ وَعْدُ رَبِّي جَعَلَهُ دَكَّ. And when the promise of my Rabb came, then it will be broken into pieces. Dakka is a particles of dust. So such a huge strong wall. He's not saying this is going to be forever and I don't think day of judgment will come or this will ever end, like the gardener. He did not say any such statement. He is a humble, obedient person. He said that when the promise of Allah came for it to break, it will break into pieces. Nothing will hold against the promise of Allah or word of Allah. وَكَانَ وَعْدُ رَبِّي حَقًّا. And promise of my Rabb is true. Meaning he kind of had the information later on in time. This wall is not going to hold back. Yajuj and Majuj will set free and then they will attack the whole world. So he has knowledge. He has given information of the future as well. He has knowledge, but he still is a humble, obedient slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and just ruler. How is it related to the Dajjal? There is a whole lot of detail. I'm going to quickly mention a few things that I learned over time about him. That Dajjal was an obedient person. He is mentioned as a knowledgeable person according to some Tafseer, that he was present in the court of Sulaiman alayhi salam when Sulaiman alayhi salam commanded to bring the throne of the Queen of Sheba. So the Queen of Sheba. So he said that he was humble, very humble. The jinn said, "Oh, I'm mighty and strong, and I will bring it before you leave your place." But this person said that he was humble, and he said, "It's knowledge of Allah, His mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I will be able to bring it here before the blink of your eye." And some scholars said that his name is Asif, and he is actually the Dajjal who was an obedient person. And he had knowledge, he learned how to time travel, because we know that he is present in the court of Sulaiman alayhi salam. He is also known to build the second temple of Sulaiman alayhi salam, where when it was claimed that Sulaiman alayhi salam, he said that the court should be built, the temple should be built in a way that there is no sound created in that land, because this was a holy land and there were people worshipping there, so he didn't want any disturbance. And he took the task. But after building the temple, he disappeared. So he knew how to time travel, because he was later on found on an island in the time of Prophet ﷺ, where a companion got lost in the sea and met this person, and he was chained, and he introduced himself as the Dajjal and asked for a few information. When this companion came to Prophet ﷺ, Prophet ﷺ affirmed it that yes, you met the Dajjal. It is the Dajjal. He's the Dajjal. He's chained. And we know that he knows how to time travel. He knows Sababa. He knows how to the ways of the path. And I'm not assimilating him with Zulkarnain. I'm saying that Zulkarnain is an obedient person, whereas the Dajjal, when he is given authority, he got information, he had knowledge. What is he going to do when he come back? He's going to be unjust. He's going to act as a god. He's going to create his own paradise and hellfire. He's going to punish people and reward people based on who will obey him. So two different comparison, two different people, what you're supposed to do with authority and what he will do with the authority. All these stories are linked together, and I created the connection, if you realize from the very throughout in the beginning of the lecture today as well, how they are linked to each other, how a person is tested through those things, and how in the time of Dajjal, how we can compare the examples of Zulkarnain with him, and also how are we supposed to behave in our time, and how we are supposed to protect ourselves from these fitnas that will arise in our life or in the lives of our children, and we educate our children about the Dajjal as well, and about all these fitan that we are going to face in this life. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who pass all the tests and be among his obedient slaves, no matter what test we are put through. Also, one thing before I conclude today's class that we need to remember, that if Dajjal is heard that he's there, then what do? Run away. We don't go face him. Only Isa alayhi salam, sorry, will be able to face him and finish him off. But we are not, we are told to, Prophet ﷺ advised to go away, hide and protect your faith. Don't go face him. Don't go check him out that, oh yeah, what he's doing. Let's go check him out. No, we don't do that. We hide from him, run away, and protect our faith from him. And he will not be able to enter two cities, Makkah and Medina. So those are the safest places. When someone hears about this, the coming of Dajjal, arrival of Dajjal, then they run to those places to protect themselves, because that's the only places that would be safe from him. Otherwise, he will go to every part of the earth. Okay, inshallah, we'll conclude here. Unless you have a question, please go ahead and ask. Otherwise, I can say then dua, inshallah. Jazakallah khair for staying back.
Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Okay, inshallah. There is no question, I guess. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa ant, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilaik. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام.